Hi there, my name's Dan, I live in Brazil, and this is a series of short videos looking at developing and fostering a spirituality. I think personally that spirituality is one of the most important things that we can develop, and it certainly is an antidote to many of the problems that people are facing today, whether that's anxiety, whether that's daddy issues, whether that's a general sense of unhappiness and ill-ease. These videos are based on a book that I'm writing at present called Power, Praise and Progress. So the first and most obvious question, I guess, is why have a spirituality? I think one of the most constant things in a person's life is trying to figure out how to live well, how to build a purposeful life, how to build a life which is blessed. More and more men are being disconnected from having a spiritual life. We seem to be living in a world full of daddy issues. More and more young men are growing up with absent fathers or father-deficient homes, and even masculinity itself is being treated as a disease. Men are still expected to do 99.9% of the dirtiest and most dangerous jobs. They're still expected to provide for a family. They're still expected to raise children to be good and useful citizens. But the very institution that gives them peace, that has traditionally protected them from the hardship, is being stripped away. People are being disconnected from the very heart of their person, that is, their spirituality. I think we've lost this kind of sense of the spirit, this fundamental connection to the divine. A spirituality helps us to dream big, to achieve big, and to form deep and intimate connections with other spirits, with other human beings. Rabbi Menachem Schneerson tells a story of a man who comes to him one day full of worry and anxiety. "Do you devote time to your soul?" the rabbi asks. "Time?" the guy says. "Who has time?" "There's an old saying," the rabbi replied.
"When two people meet, it's two souls against one body, because bodies are self-centered by nature. They cannot join forces. Each pursues its own physical needs. Souls, however, are selfless by nature. So when two people join forces, their souls converge."
Every single person has a spirituality. Even the most godless dream big and connect to other people. But the problem with not focusing our spirituality on its creator, on God, is that we then glorify other things, worthless things. There's this intimate connection between our physical bodies, our physical world, and the spirit. Rabbi Schneerson uses the image of a candle to illustrate this relationship between the world of flesh, the physical world, and our soul.
Look closely at the flame of a candle and you will see an approximation of your soul. The flame leaking the air, reaching upward as if toward God, and yet the wick pulls it back to earth. Similarly, your soul is constantly reaching upward, while your body holds your back, with its insistent demands for physical sustenance or gratification.
Without a spiritual life, we're liable to fall into the trap of glorifying worthless things. We glorify fame. We are driven mad, insane by advertising and the demands of a world that seems to spend most of its time on this anxiety-ridden plane of destruction. We give free rein to our ego. We glorify money. We glorify even our own emotions. A spiritual life inoculates us from this kind of disease of the mind. That disease of the mind which tells you that you're worthless and ugly. The disease of the mind which provokes this fear when opportunities arise. The disease of the mind which keeps recalling our regrets, our mistakes, anger, misfortune, jealousy of other people. This is the stuff of the ego and not the stuff of spirit. It is also the stuff that causes us the most pain, but there's always been an antidote to this. And it's come in the form of the spiritual wisdom from our spiritual fathers. These were handed from master to disciple, from father to son, from teacher to student, for utter millennia. I aim to reacquaint you with the ancient wisdom, the life hacks, handed down for thousands of years. Firstly by word of mouth, much later in written works from spiritual giants. The first videos are going to be looking precisely at developing, if you like, the skills, the traditional skills and the traditional knowledge of a spiritual life in the Judeo-Christian world. Like everything else, we need a vocabulary. And so we will be talking in the first couple of videos about the classical division of the human being into flesh, mind or intellect, and spirit. We'll be looking at tips and techniques to begin to develop your spiritual sense, and we'll be thinking about practical questions which may arise when you are starting your journey as a seeker. The idea is that a healthy, balanced life is made up of three components: power, praise, and progress. What I aim to do in the book, as well as in these videos, is pose a series of questions. The first question that we're going to deal with in the next series of videos is, am I in control of my life? It's a pretty fundamental question, but so many people feel so out of control today. The more men that I talk to and work with, the more they tell me that life seems to be becoming more complicated, more diffuse, more fluid, and more dissipated. So we begin with the first part, with power, with our own personal power. How can we control our environment to make it less reactive and more proactive? This is critically important in a spiritual life. Spirituality restores control, your own personal power. Often in Christian terms we call this the kingship of yourself, the headship of your own spiritual life and your own life. This is one of the most critical factors in living a peaceful life, that the things that happen to us, both good and bad, do not totally and utterly knock us for a six. The second essential part of our lives is praise. You might say that it's the sort of stuff that keeps us getting up every single morning, going to work. It drives us on. It's the kind of the rewards, if you like, the money, the incentive, the pats on the back. The last component of a healthy life is progress. It's the goals we achieve on the way. It's how we grow and develop, not only as Christians, but as good husbands and great fathers and good Christians. We are on a pilgrimage. We have been born, we travel, and we will be going toward our heavenly home. So this is the broader intent of these videos. I'm hoping that they're going to be short. I'm hoping certainly that they're going to have some influence in your life. And I certainly hope that you know that I don't actually have all the answers. I'm as much on the journey as you may be. Each week, that I post a video, I will link this to my blog, where there are further reflective questions that you can go through in your own meditation. You know the drill. Subscribe, like, and please share this with somebody you love.